Now let us try to make use of the Hadoop's MapReduce and compare it with the other traditional systems. So first, as we all know that we are already working with the traditional database management system, and we have seen how traditional RDBMS or traditional database management system is more advantageous than the usual traditional file system. But when we are working with the RDBMS, it is having very less amount of data, let us say in the form of gigabytes or in the form of GB, whereas when we are working with the big data, the MapReduce works with the petabytes, which is too much, or 10 raised to 12 gigabytes is nothing but petabytes. Now when we are working with the accessibility, then the traditional RDBMS is completely interactive, and sometimes when we are having many queries to be processed, then we also make use of the batch processing system. But whereas MapReduce is completely batch processing system. So when we are making use of any updates, then we can read the data and we can write the data as many times we want inside our traditional RDBMS. But when we are working with the MapReduce, then we are writing the data only once and we are reading it many times. So we are writing the data only once, which is always the final. Then RDBMS is transactional, so we already know that it always consists of the asset properties, that is atomicity, consistency, isolation and durability, which I don't need to specify. So these transactions always contain these things, but MapReduce is not a transactional type of system and we don't have any transactional data at all. Then the structure present inside our traditional RDBMS is schema on read, means we have the mechanism for writing the data in the form of schemas. So we know that what is schema? Schema is nothing but the table, and when the table, whenever we are trying to write the table, we give the data how we are in which table we are writing a particular data item. We specify them every time whenever we are trying to write. But when we are making use of the MapReduce, it turns completely the reverse. So here we make use of the schemas for reading the things. So we write the schema for reading the things rather than writing the things. For example, if I want to have the access to the data, we give the query, and the query how it has to be processed will be written inside the MapReduce algorithm. But when we are using the traditional RDBMS, we directly give the table name and the column names where it has to be updated. So here we use on write and here we use on read. Then next we have is high and low integrity. So the integration between the RDBMS is very high, or integrity. What is integrity? Integrity is nothing but the isolation, or I can say the independence between the data is very high in traditional RDBMS. So when we are working with the MapReduce, then the integrity is very low, because many people will be using that, and so the integrity will be a little bit lower side. The scaling here in traditional RDBMS is non-linear, and here it is completely linear. So what is non-linear, what is linear? So when we are trying to make use of the DBMS, then we can have many DBMSs working together, and when we are making use of the MapReduce, then the functionality has to be written for accessing the data. So here I cannot make use of the extension to my hardware, and whenever I make use of the extension to the hardware, I also need to update the software as well for the MapReduce. But in traditional RDBMS it is not that. We can go on extending the traditional database softwares again and again. So next we are trying to compare our MapReduce with the grid computing. So the grid computing is nothing but, here we are making use of a cluster of machines which use the shared file system which are there inside the storage area network, and we give a job for each one of the system for the cluster of machines and distribute the work across the cluster of machines. And the MapReduce tries to co-locate the data with the compute nodes so that data access is fast, because it is local. This feature is known as data locality, is at the heart of data processing in Hadoop and is the reason for its good performance. So here the main important thing what to be noted is whenever we are making use of the grid computing, we make use of a system, big cluster. Inside that we make use of a system, let us say 100 systems inside the grid, and each system will be provided with some data, and that data processing has to be done. And every time the data is carried to the system, then the system has some algorithms, and that algorithms will be processing the data and giving us the result inside the grid computing. But in MapReduce, instead of going to the system and giving the data to the system, what I do is I make the data to be there where it is called as data locality, and I give the algorithms to process the data. Means I am taking the processing system or the functions to the data itself, so the performance of the Hadoop will be better in grid this one MapReduce than in grid computing. So grid computing is good for working with the compute intensive jobs where we need a lot of computation, and here in Hadoop it tries to co-locate the data with compute nodes, so data access is fast because it is local, and this data feature is called as data locality. So this is usually works for good performance for not compute intensive jobs. And the computer network bandwidth is the bottleneck of the grid computing, and whereas Hadoop goes to great lengths to conserve it by explicitly modeling network topology, because here we just make use of the function to go to the data, which is very small in comparison to data, and in grid computing we take the data to the function, which makes the network as a bandwidth, which is the bottleneck of our grid computing. And message passing interfaces gives a great control to programmers, but it requires that they explicitly handle the mechanics of the data flow exposed via low level C routines and constructs such as sockets, as well as the higher level algorithm for the analysis. So message post here in grid computing, the control is given totally to the programmers, but the processing in Hadoop operates only at the higher level. The programmer thinks the data in the term of data, not in the terms of computational efficiency. So it thinks the data efficiency rather than computational efficiency. Then the hardest part in grid computing is the handling the partial failure in terms of node failure, in terms of system failure. In grid computing it is very hard part, but when we are using MapReducing, since it is a distributed processing system, it is also have the mechanism to detect the failed task and reschedule the machines which have failed inside the system. The next is volunteer computing. Here volunteer computing is just nothing but giving the job to each one of the people whoever are present. Something like we need many people to work for a particular function, then what we do is we make use of the volunteers from the every class. So something like that, what happens is we give the projects, big projects, and part of the projects will be given to the volunteers who come and work only the work which is being assigned to them. So when the analysis part of the data is completed, the results are sent back to the server and the client gets another unit of work. What they do is there is a different mission to check the results and so on, and it is very CPU intensive. That is, each volunteer has to work with respect to his CPU and its hardware. Then he makes use of the computation and volunteering and everything, analyze everything and give the results back to the server. Whereas MapReduce is not something like that. Here the function itself go to the data. Means volunteer computing is nothing but the data set is given to each one of the user for computational work, and MapReduce we don't give it to anyone. Directly the function goes to the data and works on it. So for example of volunteer computing, we have SETI, which is nothing but search for extraterrestrial intelligence, which is run by this one NASA and the astronomical sciences. SETI is for extraterrestrial search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and they make use of CPU time from another people to monitor the extraterrestrial objects, and whether there are any other planets which are containing the life and so on. So these things are done by using the volunteer computing. So a brief history of Hadoop is something like that. We know that Doug Cutting was a person who invented Hadoop, and first he was working for the this one Yahoo, and then he shifted on to Cloudera, and the creator Doug Cutting is also the creator of one more software called as Apache Lucene, which is used for searching the text library, and Apache uh, Apache software was already there, and there is a software called as Apache Notch, where he started his working, and gradually it started to become a Apache's Hadoop. So Mike Caffarella and Doug Cutting estimated a system supporting a 1 billion page index for the Yahoo search page, and they have designed many search algorithms by making use of uh, Google's file system or Google's distributed file system, and they use the paper which was produced in Google in the international paper in the form of a research paper, that is Google file system, and they made it use of it and created a uh, Apache Notch, which later on became Apache's Hadoop. So in 2004 they created Notch distributed file system. Then in 2004 Google published the paper on MapReduce. In 2005 the Notch developers made use of the GFS, so that is Google file system, and created MapReduce and NDFS, that is Notch distributed file system. And in Feb 2006 they moved from Notch to form an independent sub-project of Lucene called as Hadoop. So the Doug Cutting demonstrated in Feb 2018 about the Hadoop cluster, which is nothing but a 10,000 core Hadoop cluster. So we'll see about the Hadoop ecosystem in the next session. So thank you.